Heat in the kitchen. Episode 20, Avi.
Is this episode 20?
Episode
So
20.
I just the other day, like a memory popped up that reminded me that we did this. We started this like more than a year ago,
Yeah.
which was cool. And I actually really like the rhythm we found since it's been just me and you. But it is cool, like looking back at like when Tip was on. That was a great episode.
Yep.
And then Jerry Thornton, who like Jerry Thornton had the funniest back and forth with somebody on Facebook the other day about he said maskless. By the way, in case anybody's curious, like Corey and I see each other all the time. Um, I just got my first shot because I know that there will be posts about the fact that we're not wearing masks, and
That still happens?
it does, and it's a cognizant choice. Like it's something that we're super careful about. I'm crazy careful in my actual life. I know you are.
You wore two masks in the way
Yeah,
here.
it's like I don't know what to say, but when we do this, it's just like if we sat here with a mask on, then what's the point? Like people can't hear us. It's awkward. You don't get to see our facial expressions. So um, these are the choices we make. But
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Plus, I'm in my own house. I'm not going to wear a mask.
True. Yeah, no. Today we're in Corey's house, which is this is super different. I actually think this is like even the backdrop. This is way more conducive to the than like my empty restaurant sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Um,
But
speaking of
yeah,
empty
promotional
restaurants,
tactic, though. You open a new restaurant during the pandemic.
no, that was no, that wasn't an empty restaurant. But when we were doing it in the empty restaurant,
Okay.
speaking of empty restaurants, the restaurant business still sucks.
I was gonna. That was the
Yeah.
number one question. You know what? It's like, don't tell me about Yelp reviews. I want to hear about the actual restaurant business.
Yeah, that's true. So actually, and to be clear, like it's
I'm
been
sure
like
you're doing takeout numbers.
no, we're not. We were in the spring. And it depends. Like sometimes I don't know if you saw this. By the way, the Globe. You don't follow that kind of stuff, but just yesterday, the Globe put out a list of the Globe's been super cool. Like there's a whole drama behind that. I don't know if you probably don't follow that kind of stuff either, but I can get into it if you want. But anyway, the Globe. I think they're trying to make amends for like some stuff like and like the way that they said some things early that maybe some people in the industry didn't love. So now they're trying to like really hardcore push takeout, which is dope. Like I appreciate it. I actually stood up for them when they said it the first time around. I feel like it's their job. So basically, like a writer for the Globe, super respected food writer, probably like some people would say like the last real food critic in the Boston scene. Deborah First wrote an article about the fact she wouldn't be comfortable eating inside a restaurant, and like some people who own some like pretty good sized places had a lot to say about that. They didn't like it, and to me, I looked at it like, and I know that like, look, none of
She
us
said this in the Globe or like on
in
Twitter.
the
Or
in the
something.
Globe
All right.
she wrote an article about it, which by the way, it's her job. It's what she's paid to do.
True.
And so this is the way I looked at it. Was like I always tell people like if I consider myself having any notoriety at all, like it would be literally on the level of like double Z list, right? Like it's not, and a lot of these people like are even less notable maybe than me, but they're super successful. So like, but they have a hard time understanding that if LeBron James complains about what a sports writer writes, that sports writer doesn't owe LeBron anything. They do just because they interact professionally. They don't do the same thing for a living, right?
Right.
And it's to me, it was kind of like that. It was like you could be mad, like you can be mad, but you should be mad when other restaurant owners say it publicly, not when a writer does. That's her job. Like
Well, the
she gets
problem
paid
is-
for her opinion. That's what she gets paid for.
Yeah, true. The problem is, a lot of times, and you see it nonstop in every different media outlet, but
Yeah.
there's so many people just follow the Globe or Fox News or MSNBC, and like that's gospel, right? So they're just followers, right? They don't have a original thought in their head.
Yep.
So they say, "Oh, that person's afraid to go to a restaurant. I'm not going to go to a restaurant." You know what I mean? That person, that's their job to go to restaurants.
Right. No, so don't misunderstand me. Like, there's no way that her article. So what I was trying to get to, honestly, was that they put out a cool article yesterday about the best restaurants by region for takeout, and they named Al Ash. So it was pretty dope. Like a few months in, Al Ash was already on one of those lists, and that meant a lot to me. But yeah, if we're on this topic, which obviously I brought up, so it's like we're on it because of me. But yeah, listen, there's no question that
I'm not saying she's doing her job wrong.
right.
I'm just saying,
but no,
yes.
there's no question that her opinion hurt the confidence of consumers. I'm not saying that it didn't, but if that's her opinion and that's what she believes, like that's what she's paid to write. It's different than like if you work for me and you have an opinion, or even if you own a restaurant that's not mine and we're friends or whatever, and you have an opinion, and then you go to the internet and say it. Like now you're hurting consumer confidence, and that's not your job.
Right.
Like your job is to run your business. So like if I make decisions for Simca or Al Ash or whatever, and those work for me and my team for whatever reason, that's the decisions I make. I shouldn't expect that every other restaurant should have to do me, and I shouldn't. I'm not an expert. Like I'm an expert in very few things. Infectious diseases is not one of them. And I feel like I'm one of the only people that's willing to say that these days. Everybody's like,
I'm definitely an expert.
Everybody's an
I've read
infectious
so much
disease
about
expert. But I'm not. I'm not an expert in it. So for me to say, like, I don't say that indoor dining isn't okay and that it's not safe. I mean, shoot, I have friends that own restaurants where they've been having indoor dining since it could,
Yeah.
and haven't had and like, my dude's not sick, so like,
Yeah.
but me,
I've gone to restaurants.
cool, all right,
You know
that's
what I mean? Like,
all right, that's your choice. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I haven't eaten indoor.
Yeah.
I had no problem with outdoor dining.
Well, you're in a restaurant all day.
Depending on where it was, right, but I don't have guests inside.
No, I know.
So those are decisions I make. But like for me, it's just everyone's got to. That doesn't mean I don't think it's safe or that it's doable. It's that for me, the risk doesn't outweigh the reward. The risk does outweigh the reward, and so that's just like that. Those are the decisions I'm making. I struggle with it. Like I've actually considered opening Simca indoors,
Yeah.
And I've been talking about it recently. It's tough, man. It's tough. People don't. I just don't have the answers. Where did you go indoors?
I went to Conrad's once during a football game when one of the, I don't know if it was Patriot, I can't remember. Where else did I go? I went someplace in Rhode Island once one day too. I've gone a couple times. I mean, I'm kind of over coronavirus as far as being afraid of it.
But see, that's the thing. Like everyone says that, but I'm like, I don't know. Like that's the thing is, it's tough, man. Because for me, I get frustrated by that opinion. Because, like, I get it. I'm exhausted by it too.
Yeah.
At the same time,
But I'm not. What am I doing? I'm like, how is me going to a restaurant?
no, I'm not telling you not to. That's the thing is, I'm not saying you shouldn't. Like,
Yeah.
you should do you,
Yeah.
and I'm not judging you for that. I'm saying that the opinion that I've started seeing. So let me be clear. Like, I've seen a lot of people say, like, "Oh, I'm over COVID," or "Oh, I'm tired of it."
I was never on it, to be honest.
So that's different. Then, if that's the case, then
Like I'm not going to like crazy parties or anything, but I'm just living my life and I'm that's what I'm doing. It's not like I can even do anything crazy that I did a year ago. You know what I mean? It's not like I can go to a packed bar.
right.
You know what I mean? So it's not,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I hear you. I don't know. Like, I guess for me, like the social responsibility aspect, the aspect for me of what I owe other people around me, that's the part that overweighs me. And I think,
well, you have a lot of people that
Right.
rely on you.
but I think the part that
nobody
I get,
that
so the
relies on
part, right, and I get that. Like the part that I get frustrated with other people sometimes isn't whether or not they're afraid. Like, to almost understand me. Like, I'm afraid to die. Like, I'm not someone who's not afraid to die. But I'm not afraid of a lot of things. I'm afraid. Like, I'm more afraid for the people around me. Like, I would hate to. Like, it's kind of like, think about this. Like, you've been out with me enough times to know. Like, I'm not risk averse, and I'm not like I'm down. Like, all right, whatever it is that we're getting into, let's get into it. I have kids now. Like, I have to think about them in that behavior.
Yeah.
So it's like if it was like, yo, do you want to just like go fly to some crazy city and just go crazy? Yeah, let's do it. But I can't do that now for my kids. So the same way, like with COVID, it's like if I'm willing to take a risk, okay, but what about my kids? Like, what about exposing them?
right.
What about more importantly, like my daughter goes to natural kindergarten. Families there are super careful. Everyone's just like really in it. Like the place is just doing an incredible job keeping people safe. Like, what about exposing those people? Like, so these are the things that I have to think about.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I have to think about.
No, so
Are we live on Facebook?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
All right.
See, this is live up top.
Yeah. Usually it shows us like a number or
Yeah.
something, and I don't see it.
Right there.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
CBS
Cool.
Die.
All right, cool.
No, but the thing is, first of all, so I know I've been preaching this for 8 months, but I've read so much about ivermectin as an outpatient treatment.
Yo, let's talk about Brady. Like, I just
Okay.
don't like.
No, I'm just
you're
saying.
over COVID. I'm over talking about COVID with you.
I'm just saying. I've read enough about it, so I think if I did get it and I knew I had whatever, I think I've seen the data on outpatient protocol, enough of it where someone at my level, you know what I mean, with no comorbidities, you know what I mean.
So I do agree with you there. The only thing I will say is like there have been cases, and again, obviously it's rare, but like at our age in particular, sometimes you're going to find out about those comorbidities.
Yeah.
When you get sick.
So yeah, but like, then I follow the protocol. You know what I mean?
Sure, but yeah, I'm just saying like if you have like the thing that scares me is that sometimes like I've gone through bouts where I have high blood pressure, and that's like a huge that's one of the huge factors. I'm in the process. I actually just started. I've lost like 4.5 pounds in the last week, but I just started getting back.
Here we go. Next week, I won't even be able to see you.
You know how it is. But I had put on like 50, And that scares me
Yeah,
because I'm like,
no, for sure.
like those things are terrifying. So to me, like I just think I don't know. I just think like
here's the bigger problem I have with it.
Sure.
I read earlier today. Massachusetts has over 400,000 doses of the vaccine in storage right now that are not going into arms.
no, I mean that's a long.
So it's like what like I'm just gonna wait around until you decide everybody can get the vaccine. I don't really understand. You know what I mean? Like
I said, I think we should talk about Brady because we just look at the world different a little bit when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like you just said two things that I understand both. I just don't get the correlation between them. Yeah,
what do you mean?
The vaccines are being rolled out really crappily. It sucks. By the way, let's talk about this. The vaccines do nothing for my industry. Nothing. Because like the people who are comfortable going into a restaurant, maybe the cross section of people that are comfortable going to a restaurant and that care about the vaccine is not exactly a very big cross section.
Yeah, right.
And the people that trust the vaccine still aren't going to go into restaurants with it because the problem with this vaccine is the data is so incomplete that they're like, hey, once you get it, you should still socially distance and wear a mask.
Right.
So it's like, well, if you're going to socially distance and wear a mask anyway, I'm still a believer of getting the vaccine. Like I said, I got my first shot yesterday, but what does that do for opening school? What does that do for restaurants? What does that do for businesses? It doesn't really do very much. We're still in a holding pattern, right?
Right.
And in a weird way, it's like because the data was rolled out really incomplete, we're not going to know. It's going to be hard to know when like we're beating this thing versus the vaccine is working and like where we're at in that. You know what I mean? Like we might get to next fall and have a lot of these vaccines like starting to wear off in our mind, but in reality, they just weren't as strong as they were. Like we're not going to know is the virus changing and beating us, or the vaccines wearing off, or you know what I mean? Like it almost would have been better to just get really good data and wait longer. So because like it is kind of crazy how incomplete the data was.
The best test case is Israel right now because they've like I think it's over 40% of their populations have gotten the second dose. Okay,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing. Their chart looks exactly like Lebanon. It's like I don't even understand. Like I think, to your point about the data, I think there just weren't enough old people and people with comorbidities and whatever in the trials, the original trials, because they all said 95%, 95%, 95%. Right. But if you gave it to a healthy 30-year-old, you know what I mean. You're not gonna know if it was good or bad. You know what I mean? Like
have you read the studies?
I've read. All I do is read.
Okay, yeah. So I tore through one. No, I'm saying the actual.
I read some of the Moderna one. And
okay, yeah. So I read through that. Obviously, look, I'm not a
scientist. By the way, the Moderna, like these I do some work for the pharma industry. Like when they try to approve a drug, we're talking about hundreds of pages for like basic thing, and these are like very, very incomplete in my opinion.
So what I'm saying is, I read through it like. I took the time. I was like, I'm going to read through this. I'm not a scientist, so maybe some of it went over my head, but I read it. The thing that jumped off my page was like, they stuck me with the, theoretically, they stuck me with the vaccine. They stuck you with, a placebo, and they put us out in the world, and they didn't track us.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is like, you could have. Look, I'm not saying this happened. Okay. Obviously, look, if I'm putting money down on one side or the other, I'm going to say it works. Okay. But when I read that from a science standpoint, I'm like, it's theoretically possible that by pure cosmic coincidence, the folks you happen to stick with the vaccine were quarantining and distancing, and the other ones weren't. Like your science is incomplete if you can't tell me what they did.
A lot of it was self-reported,
right? So right, which is bonkers. And then the other part that really blew my mind, just from like a science standpoint, right? Like just from like a lab control versus variable standpoint, was why. So like there were no cases, or like there were like. I think there were no cases of anaphylaxis in the study. Maybe a minor amount, but I think maybe none.
Yeah.
And in the first
couple weeks,
like the first 200,000, they had like 12 or 16.
Right.
And the thing is, that's not a big number to me and you. But from a science standpoint, it's exponential.
Right.
Because you had none, and now you have.
Right.
And that should tell you not that it means it's not safe. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But it means that your study wasn't complete enough. Because if you're seeing things when it's really rolled out that you didn't see in your study,
Of course.
means your study was too small.
Right.
No, and that's you didn't have a big enough cross section.
They're rolling out intubation kits with, to all the sites now because just in case.
Right.
Right. And it's like, here's my biggest thing though with the vaccine is, people want to like label you an anti-vaxxer, right? Like say I don't want to get the vaccine. I don't know if I will.
I got the vaccine, so you can't label me an anti-vaxxer, but I know what you mean.
No, but like it's like
the royal you.
Don't compare this vaccine to like polio. Polio has 3 adverse events per million of people, right? Has decades of long-term safety data.
Okay. So
that's different than, if you don't want to get the polio vaccine, that is an anti-vaxxer.
Okay, so I'm with you here. Yes, so I agree with you. So like this is what I'm saying, right? Is that like I'm with you. Like
you should be able to question science, question data.
Agreed. So that's what I'm saying is like, look.
And again, I'm not.
So like for example, like there's folks like quote unquote anti-vaxxers, right? There are folks that don't believe that the MMR vaccine is safe, right?
Yep.
And no, the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella.
Oh.
Okay, that they don't think that those are safe.
Yeah.
That vaccine, they believe that it triggers autism. Right?
That's factually wrong.
Right, it's factually wrong. So, what country in the world has the most cases of autism by percentage?
I have no clue.
Japan. What's unique about Japan?
They all live together?
Since 1989, they banned the MMR vaccine because they thought that was causing. So the point being, literally, the country in the world with the highest rate of this thing you're claiming it causes doesn't have the thing you're claiming causes it. That's just science.
Right.
You're wrong. Like, you can tell me all kinds of other things about vaccines, and if I can't disprove you, fine. Like, do you?
Right.
But this claim you're making is wrong. In philosophy, we say there are 3 kinds of thought. There is thought which I can prove, rational. There's thoughts which I can prove it wrong. That's irrational. And then there's non-rational thought. God is a non-rational thought. You can debate all you want with a religious person if you're not religious or whatever. I'm not religious, so I believe in God, but like I could debate all day that I don't think that eating pork is a problem for Jews. That's a non-rational debate. You're not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Right.
We both have opinions.
Yeah.
You don't have proof, and I don't have proof.
Right.
It is an irrational thought to say that the MMR vaccine causes autism. That is an irrational thought. It's disprovable. With this, it's all non-rational. We don't have the answers yet.
Exactly.
So when someone says like, "Oh, you don't think that the vaccine's safe?" Listen, I can't tell you that in 12 years there isn't going to be someone that goes, "Hey, I remember those shots you got in your arm?" Bad news. I can tell you this. I would be weighing the vaccine very differently if and when it was ready for children, because I would have considered putting it in my children's arm way longer than I considered it mine.
Of course.
Like with me, I'm like, look, I again weighed it because I had the same reservations you have.
Yeah.
For me, it came again to the social good. So I was like, you know what? I'm 36. I got 2 beautiful kids. I don't think this is going to kill me, but if I end up being the one, like, I think that I got to go do my part here for society. We all say everyone's a tough guy that would do anything for their family, right? Everyone, if they were at the Holocaust, they would have stepped up. If they were in World War II, they would have stepped up.
You were the last 4 years. You didn't hear?
Oh God! Look! Please, can we just keep an episode off of that? I don't want to do that with you. No, listen. Did you?
Know what? I made a joke.
Did you go to the Capitol? Be honest. You would have. You would have.
Capitol?
Yeah, you nutbag. Anyway,
we all should have went to the Capitol on
December
29th.
Please
December
stop.
29th when they gave us that bill. Democrats, Republicans, everybody should have came together and stormed the Capitol.
Just please stop. I don't want to do this with you. That part's not fun. Can we talk about Tom Brady?
Can
we talk about Tom? What did you think about the Super Bowl?
What do you mean? What I think?
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, Patriots won in the Super Bowl. What can I do?
Dude, you're annoying. What did you think about the Super Bowl? Okay, so first of all, let's start here. When did you root for Tom Brady the whole season, like from jump? First coin flip, you rooted for him?
Yes, but no, I had mixed feelings for sure.
So I didn't. I found myself rooting against him. Like sometimes in sports, like you just find yourself rooting for who you root for.
I wanted to see him like climb a hill, though. You know what I mean?
That's fine. That for me, that definitely wasn't what I didn't want to go. I just found myself rooting against him. See, for me, it's funny. I think I wanted domination from him at first, and then when it didn't happen, then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I don't want to see this get cool. Like I don't. So I started rooting against him. No question. I rooted against him all the way through the NFC Championship game. Honestly, it was like my team had lost when they got the pass interference call. Like I was like, oh. And then I remember I texted you like, fuck Tom Brady, like blah blah.
Yeah.
And then like an hour later, I was like, I've thought about this. And you know what it was? It was seeing some of his post game comments, man. Like it was seeing like that's Tom Brady. Like, dude, did you hear about the stuff between him and Honey Badger? Like after the game?
Oh, I mean, I heard about it. I still would love to know what he said.
Same. But
you
heard
about up there. I heard. So I'm like, you can't lie about it.
But you heard about like him reaching back.
Yeah.
Like that's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So like, you know what? I was like, how can I root against that guy? Like, it's just a dude that like he worked at the same place for 20 years.
Yeah.
And someday, like when this is all over, he's gonna look back and that's gonna be the best boss he ever had. But sometimes you get tired of working for even the best boss you ever had. Sometimes you're just like, you know what? I don't need this in my life right now.
Well, plus the fact that
you go, do you?
It's not like he's a professional athlete, right? He thinks he's the best in the world.
Of course.
And you're not gonna like even say like, hey Tom, we really want to keep you 2 years and 60 million. You know what I mean? It's not like they just put it on him to decide. But it's like, no, if he's the quarterback, go fucking get it. Make sure you keep him. You know what I mean? Like make him an offer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
in a weird way, and
they kind of all just knew it was over, so they just
listen. In a weird way, say Belichick rebuilds, and even if he doesn't win one, say he's competitive a couple more times.
I think he does win too.
I think so too. But say he's competitive a couple more times, right?
Yeah. Which he will.
Then like I agreed. So then this was the right move for both, right? Because Belichick always
No, it wasn't the right move for the Patriots.
Wait, hear me out. Belichick has said this forever. He said this, and he proved it here. I'd always rather give up on a guy 2 years too early.
Yeah, but the guy won the Super Bowl.
Than 2 years too late. No, but hear me out. Right, but so okay, it's a unique position in that it. So in other words, say he determined that Brady has 2 more years in him of greatness.
Yeah.
But financially, as we just saw with the Patriots, they were going to need to take a giant step back for a second. And say he looked at it and he was like, the only way for us to still be competitive is to put ourselves in a really bad place and mortgaging the house. Think about this. Would one more Super Bowl, and don't just gut reaction, think of this. No.
Yes.
Would one more Super Bowl be that meaningful to the Patriots? See, it's huge for Tampa Bay, and it's huge for Brady.
Yeah.
But for the Patriots,
It's huge for the Patriots.
if you said to Belichick,
They would be the number one franchise.
if you said to Belichick, you can coach, you're going to coach for 8 more years, let's just say.
Yeah.
You said this last year. You're going to coach 8 more years. You can win one more in the next 2. Be really bad for 4 years, and then maybe scrape together some sort of developing.
He's never going to look at it that
decentness.
way, though.
No. The thing about him that makes him so great is that he does look at it that way.
No, but he thought he could win this year, guaranteed.
There's no way he thought that.
Yes,
he
he
even
did.
said he basically said
He said,
that
yeah,
he didn't.
yeah, but that was after they started losing. You know what I mean? So it's like, you are a man of many takers.
I assume you mean of many takes. Does that mean that I'm flip flopping? Is that what he's saying?
Yes.
I don't think I'm flip flopping. I think I'm super consistent.
No, but like after Cam got coronavirus and all that, yeah, he's like, yeah, we sold out to win before. But like after that Seattle game, everybody thought the Patriots were going back to the AFC Championship game. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a second that was exciting, and I think Belichick. Look, same reason I said to you when he signed Cam Newton, I was like, yo, I love this because it gives us a reason to watch on Sundays.
Yeah.
Like Cam Newton was the one dude out there who like his floor was real low. Yeah, we got to see it.
Can you get to 75 passing yards?
But his ceiling was super high. Like, you might get Cam.
I still want to see him on like a good team next year. Like, just
Me too.
like you know what I mean? Like, I still think he'll be okay.
Oh, talents. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Yeah, so like that's the thing is like I do want to see Cam. By the way, if they can't like
No.
I'd be okay with it. If they can't get somebody else. Like,
I saw him
so who's
drop
out there
so
for
many
them?
balls
Who's out
on
there
the
for
ground.
them? I hope it's Garoppolo. But if it's
Yes,
not
it has
Garoppolo,
to
who else could it be?
Has to be Garoppolo.
If it's not Garoppolo, who could it be?
I know. Well, we know it can't be Stidham, right?
No, of course not. And
Well, just the fact that
and
they
where
didn't
is
play
Hoyer? Where
just
is
the fact
he?
that they didn't. Oh God.
You look a little like Hoyer. Has anybody ever told you
I
that?
saw him at Target once.
Yeah.
I was like,
dude,
hey,
has anybody ever
congrats on
told
the
you
Super
you
Bowl.
look like Hoyer? Like legit,
no.
you look like Hoyer.
I need to shave my head more.
Listen, Jimmy G. I thought so. First of all,
everybody wants Jimmy G back.
I think Jimmy G is a great. First of all, the fact that the continuity in the system, the fact that he's their guy. I'm sorry, but if we drew
If
it
I'm
up,
Jimmy G, I want to come back too.
of course, if we drew it up a couple years ago, we were like, I mean, obviously, minus the whole Tom Brady going and winning a Super Bowl. But if we just drew it up a couple years ago with Gronk, if we drew it up a couple years ago and we said, hey, Brady's gonna go win 2 more, and then he's gonna leave. And then a year later, we're going to bring Jimmy G back. I think that would have been super ideal.
Everybody would.
That would have been incredible.
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't have played Jimmy G here. So even if in a perfect world you could have afforded them both, you couldn't keep Jimmy G here.
Right.
He would have gotten worse. Not better.
It was always stupid. The take that like you're going to get rid of Brady to keep Jimmy G was always dumb.
Of course,
Tom Brady was still winning Super Bowls. He's
of
still
course.
winning Super Bowls. You know what I mean? So it's like you weren't gonna, that wasn't going to happen, right?
Of course. I mean, listen,
the problem is if the dominoes don't fall right now, then it's like
I'm just trying to figure out who do. If it's not Jimmy G, who do the Patriots?
Taylor Heineke, he re-signed with. He used to be on the Patriots practice squad. I'm like, yo, sign that fucking guy.
Oh God, I don't know. I'm like, by the way, Blaine Gabbert, right? That's Brady's backup. Yeah, like what the hell's he doing?
Well, you know what he's famous for? taking Colin Kaepernick's job in San Fran.
Is that right? He took Kaepernick's job?
Yeah.
By the way, there's still people that call on sports radio and are like, what about Colin Kaepernick? And at this point, like, I was always a give Kaepernick another chance guy.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's like, the guy hasn't played in the NFL in 6 years. People legit. So my daughter said to me during the Super Bowl, she said, Dad, I know you're eating healthy now. I think if we get you exercising regularly, my daughter's 6, you could play with these guys. And I said, I don't think you understand like how this really works. Like first of all, then I thought about Tom Brady, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess I could still
get on that TV.
Tom Brady had a Hall of Fame career after 37. So if I get my act together real fast,
that's right.
You could see me in my mid 40s throwing touchdowns. But anyway, my point is, I think
that you're more of a nose tag or something like that.
At the moment, just at the moment. I think.
Oh, this is after you get in shape.
Yeah, this is after I get in shape, and I'm not big enough to be a nose tackle right now. I'm more like Ben Coates. You look back at like video of Ben Coates, and you're like, God. That was a pass catching tight end.
That dude was a beast.
He was a beast. He's a beast. But so the what I was trying to say about my daughter saying that was, I think that they're grown adults.
I always
think
loved
that
the
way.
branding on his arm. Like the
yeah,
I was like, oh,
but I think that there are grown adults that think that way. And those are the people that think Kaepernick can play. They just think like taking 6 years off in the NFL isn't a thing. Like, oh well, he's still in great shape. It's the NFL.
No,
like
that's the funny thing that cracks me up about the Kaepernick thing is like before he ever took a knee, Blaine Gabbert had already taken his job. You know what I mean? So it's like I
don't think that's true.
Yes, that is true. He was not the starting quarterback.
Okay.
So it's like he lost it. It was the year before.
He killed.
You know what I mean? So it's like
he killed the Patriots in Foxborough one time.
Oh no, he didn't.
I was at that game.
That was the most amazing game. The
Patriots, it was an amazing comeback, but he killed them.
The Patriots, I think they were down 28 to start the third quarter and had tied it by the start of the fourth quarter.
Right, and do you remember what happened after they tied it? Kaepernick went like 5 plays.
Yeah, Terrell Owens, was he still on the team?
That's right. No,
Randy
Moss. It was Randy Moss. It was Randy Moss.
Yeah.
I was at that game. I was at that game.
The Patriots have played some all-timers, like regular season game. That was a regular season Sunday night game. Like,
by the way, speaking of Sunday night games, one game I'll never forget is so I was at the Randy Moss 4 in the first half in Buffalo, and
Terrell Owens had 4 that day, and then he did 4 in the first half.
Yeah. Do you remember though? Do you know the connection here?
The West Fork.
So the people sitting in my section,
the Dub Deuce,
bought for $50 the banner I had printed at the sign company I worked that said NBC. Nothing but championships, and they had like all the logos. They even had the Revolution logo because they just won a title. And they bought it from me. I think they did. And I was like, we got to talking, and they were from West Warwick, and I mentioned you, and you're like a god to them.
God.
A lot of we don't talk about that enough on the podcast. Your god status in West Warwick.
Maybe I think I mentioned this in passing, but there's like 12 of my high school basketball games on YouTube now. Full games.
We're going to have to watch that. We're going to have to get other people watching that.
Bro,
does everybody like
I suck.
I know you're not on Facebook, but other people are on Facebook. Does anybody is anybody interested? Is anybody out there somebody who watched Corey O'Leary's career in multiple sports, by the way?
No, you can go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's only one you should look at.
Which sport, if they could only watch you play basketball or baseball, which sport were you better at?
I wasn't very good at either. Honestly,
I mean that's a joke.
No, when I watch these games, I'm like, oh my god, I suck.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that bad?
I score 15 in my sleep.
Yep.
Because I just shoot so much.
Yeah.
But until my senior year, it's like another person. I don't ever shoot. It's like the worst. I'm like, I just want to.
You just don't shoot you would almost think it was the other way around.
Yeah. No, we got a new coach, and I played point, and it's the slowest 9-second walk up the court, and then it's like, what do you do when you get the ball? Pass the ball to Will in Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Pass the ball to Stacy.
Oh, so Stacy was
no. We were down. We were 15-3. I mean, we lost in the semis, but oh man, watching some of them brutal.
What'd you average your senior year?
Oh, probably not even 10.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah.
How many assists?
I don't know. There was one game though, a huge game. I've watched them all already. I grabbed like every rebound down the stretch. It's like a defensive board, and then it's like slow walk up and like. Ugh. But then I'm telling you, if you watch games from my sophomore or junior year. Like it does not matter where I catch the ball. I am shooting the ball.
Was the finger?
You talk about a green light.
Yeah.
No, I never dribble. I mean, or if I dribble, it's just to shoot. Like I barely ever enter the 3-point line.
Oh, you just shoot from outside. You never attack the rim.
Never.
So you never do that patented finger roll away from the basket.
No. I don't know. I don't know what the paint is. Nothing. No.
That's interesting to me.
I should show you some.
Did you play any defense?
Chuck. Yeah, defensively, I'm always in the right spot.
That's good. It's important. You guys played man?
It is funny. I played man and zone. I played a lot of zone, but
What'd you guys play for zone?
2-3. That's right. We plays.
That's kind of what I assume. But somebody was just telling
No,
me, one of these kids that works for me, he's on. They said the 2-3 is like obsolete now. They don't really run it.
It's more a matchup or 3-2.
I was trying to have like a long X's and O's conversation with a kid that works for me
2-2-1
about like
press.
about what the responsibility is on the wing, like as far as like someone sort of like in the like up on the wing, like almost like not on the baseline, but like halfway to the top of the key, and we were sort of having a discussion about how that rotation works, and I was like explaining like how someone gets open in the corner. I'm like, well, if the big guy rotates up, now like now they rotate across. Now, boom, that corner three is wide open.
Yeah.
Someone said no one throws that cross court. I said that's actually entirely basketball right now. Is that cross court pass?
God, yeah.
That cross court pass is everything.
No, it's crazy going back and watching it though. Yeah. It's like, oh man.
Did I tell you I'm opening a new place?
You're lying.
No, I'm telling the dead truth.
Oh, not a restaurant.
Yeah, kind of. Well, so it's like small, real small. I can't give all the details yet, but it's small. It's like it's part of like a bigger project, but it's going to be a new concept, and it'll be full time. It'll be open all the time.
Sure.
Nope. Going back to the city.
Nah.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool.
You'll be the only restaurant in the city.
No, so it's in a residential.
I just heard another like a huge one closed their doors forever. Huge restaurant like this week.
I'm sure. I just don't know who.
Yeah. No.
But no, this is gonna be. It's in a residential area, so like it's cool. It's a young area, so like definitely my demo. And
wait, where?
I just like I don't want to give too much details because I didn't
gotcha.
like when they're ready to announce the project.
We call this the long tease, fellas.
It's just, you know what it is? It's just like normally like I sign my own stuff, and so then I just go ahead and tell people. But this was one of these things where
like, find out in the next episode of Be in the Kitchen.
Yeah, there's other people involved, so I just don't want to blow up their spot. But it is.
You know what? Next week you're going to be like, oh yeah, we opened 4 days ago.
Yeah, probably.
That's how you do it.
No, we're going to open like in like a month and a half, 2 months. 2 months, basically 2 months we'll open, and it's going to be a hummus only concept. So it's going to be like just straight hummus bowls. With like toppings rotating kind of through stuff that we do at the other concepts. So it's gonna be cool. It's it's a good safe way to sort of grow. I think it's an easy right now obviously it's a changing landscape, so I'm just trying to pivot a little bit more towards stuff that's like really takeout friendly. The food truck should launch in back on a regular, hopefully city schedule this spring. And that's going to be weird. Like that's going to be weird for us to try to figure out like how we adapt to the fact that our normal clientele aren't around anymore.
Right.
And how do we do that? So we've definitely.
That's the thing. I like very interesting to see like what jobs go back to the city. You know what I mean? Like
Agreed.
There's going to be. I mean, everybody's working from home, and why would that change?
Yeah.
If you were in like a not a struggling business, but like a normal business, like you know how much capital that is rent every month.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
no
it's
question
like
about
crazy.
That. I think that some companies will find over time, like not right at the beginning. I think it's gonna look at the end of the
slowly
day,
come back. Yeah, but I mean,
I think over time, like, there's gonna come a time where companies start to realize that like the company culture is lost when it's away.
For sure.
And that's when you'll start to see it starts to come back. Like if I'm a betting man, 10 years from now, the city will be alive again.
Yeah.
But 5 years from now, maybe not. Yeah. There's gonna be a while especially because we're employees. Like, look, it's no secret. Like.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit for a lot of people not having to go.
And the business is very employee driven nowadays. Like that's just so like if you're some big company and it's so startup driven, and startups are especially employee driven.
Oh yeah.
So like the idea
unlimited vacation.
Right, exactly. So like the idea that folks are gonna just say like, hey, we'll come back into work. Right. I don't know that that's gonna happen right away.
I could see like the hybrid, like 2 days in the office a week, something like that. You know what I mean?
I can see that. By the way, but a lot of people will just want to get out of home like that because a lot of people are stressed. I'm running for school committee also in Sharon.
There you go. This is what I like to hear.
Yeah. So I pulled the
fuck
papers.
the rest. Fuck opening a new restaurant. Let's get some real world change here.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do real world change. So I pulled papers to run for school committee.
When's that?
So the election's in May. It's going to be. So I'm trying to. I pulled the papers early just because like I'm such a procrastinator. I don't want to wait.
Gotta do it, yeah.
But I think that for me,
you need, like,
I want to run like
certain number of signatures.
Yeah, 50 signatures.
All right.
I need, but I want to. And I'm switching. So like when I first pulled, there. So it's kind of weird how the election's going to work this time. There's 5 seats up, 5 out of 7 seats. Long story. And so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there were two people that resigned. No, there were two people that resigned. So the way it works is like when you resign, someone takes your seat. They actually have to run in the next election. Like they get appointed, but then they have to run in the next election. So both people that resigned are up next spring. So when you run in this election, you're running to finish their term. So in other words, say
it's like a runoff type of thing.
Yeah, so say, it's kind of
not like empty seat. Like, if Elizabeth Warren got Treasury Secretary, someone would grab her seat.
Right. So it's kind of weird, but it's like think of it this way: if the same person that got appointed, so consider the appointment an election, which it is considered an election.
Yep.
Say you got appointed, and then after getting appointed, you then won in the spring. That means by the time you actually run for a new seat, you would have won 2 elections for the previous seat. You know, it's weird, but the point is, so there's 1-year terms and then there's 3-year terms. And originally, everyone pulled for both, and they just got them signed for both. And I didn't like that, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna pull for one. So I just pulled for the 3. But then we kind of sorted out like who was, and I'm like, I don't want to. It just kind of worked out. Like I preferred to just run for the 1 year. So now I got to go get new papers and get them signed over again.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it's gonna be a fun election. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, let me give you your platform right now.
Okay, let me hear my platform.
I don't. They might already do this in Sharon. I know the high school I went to, they don't, and I know there's a lot of high schools that for sure don't.
Okay.
Personal finance needs to be a class in high school. Okay.
So,
personal finance.
Okay.
Just whatever.
Okay. So that's so.
They probably did have that in Sharon.
No, they don't. So, but here's this is what's interesting about something like school committee and learning about local politics, which is where it sort of all starts. You have to know, and this is something that's super important, I think, for towns, that if they want to be well run. And for somebody like me who wants to run, I think it's really important to educate yourself on what that role is.
Yeah.
That would be to get to that level of management of the school would be an overstep. And I think,
well, of course.
Well, no, but
you got to get everybody on your side.
Okay, but here's the thing. No. So
you're very persuasive.
No, you have to. Okay, but it's not. My point is, it's not. You're missing what I mean by to say get to that level. Right now, the problem that Sharon School Committee has had is that it has a handful of people on the committee who don't always understand, or if they understand, because they're very intelligent people, they probably understand, but don't always stay to what the committee's role is. So, like, to say that I would, as a committee member, be really intrigued by a superintendent candidate that believed in that would be accurate. Yes, I believe in that.
Right.
To say that I would push educators in private conversations in the direction of that kind of stuff would be fair to say. But the idea that a school committee like gets to the level of what classes are being taught.
No, I get that.
And a lot of people, I'm telling you, because a lot of people that are on that committee and a lot of people on Sharon's Facebook pages and stuff don't get that.
Right.
So my point is, like, there are people that are like that suggest, like, how do you feel about this and that? And to me, it's kind of like how in a national election, sometimes like we listen to presidential candidates talk about things that aren't their purview. Like, that's the Supreme Court's purview and it's been settled. Like, it doesn't even matter if I agree or don't agree. Let's leave that out. I want to know what you're actually going to do about this, this, and this, because that's the stuff that matters, right? So that
there's nothing.
Generally, on both sides. So that's the problem is that, like, no, here's what I think. So, like, as a school committee member, one of my big pushes, and I've got a handful of them, I want to be somebody who comes in and works with the administration to get better at more accurately budgeting. We cannot decide. So right now, a huge thing that's going on in Sharon is, and I'm probably boring.
There's always huge Sharon School Committee things going on.
Yeah, in general,
it's like crazy.
In particular for the last few years. But
see, in the town I grew up, people don't give a fuck.
Right, because like
you know what I mean.
Because like
now you gotta
there's two people that came out of that town that got a great education. They both live in this house. So like I don't know what to tell you. But that's an inside joke for anybody listening. Corey's wife went to high school.
Hey, for all you people up in Buffalo,
yeah,
he's talking shit about you.
So anyway,
at the Buffalo game.
But listen, I'm probably boring people who want to listen to us argue about Trump. People. But I will say this about school committee is that, budgeting. So like right now, what's going on in Sharon? Like one big thing is like there's a lot of foreign language. Like they're talking about cutting foreign language out of elementary schools. They have a program right now that starts teaching foreign language like very early, but they're over budget for this year. And the truth is they need to cut. So they're trying to figure out where. And my argument is, long before we're at this conversation, because they're creating a false dichotomy. They're saying we're short this money. Yeah, we need to cut something. I don't know that. Because there's a $10,000 line item in that budget that you can't explain. Like literally, no one can tell us what it
Really?
is. Oh, bigger than that. Listen to this. So there's a line item on the budget. A line item on the budget that says
X.
no. It's under office expenses for administration. Administration office expenses. It lists things like copy paper, and then a line item that says insurance. Now, I've kicked around. No one seems to know what that insurance is. Now, here's my thing. If that's in business, you get told on day one, hey, I'm going to see you at this time tomorrow, and you're going to know what that insurance is.
Right.
And when you come back, we're going to have a conversation with our insurance agent about whether or not that's a redundant insurance.
Yeah, right.
Because
it very well could be. Like,
well, I'm willing to bet that it's not. I'm willing to bet that what it is. So the only reason that it would make sense to be in that category, which it's still like a catch-all category, it's goofy.
Right.
The only reason it would make sense is if it was health insurance for office, for the administration office employees. And I'll tell you why. Because everyone else's health insurance is covered, would be under their pay.
Union or
would be
whatever.
right, exactly. So it would be under the benefits, right?
Right.
So like it makes sense. I think that it should be separated from copy paper.
More than 10,000 too, I think.
No, we're talking two different things.
Oh,
I'm saying there's $10,000 items where you literally go, what is it? And they're like, we don't know. Like that means it literally could be like
they ordered for Dunder Mifflin.
John, right? It could mean like that's John's. That we gave $10,000 to John for no reason, or it could be like an important expense. Like they don't know. So my point is, by the time we're having like really important conversations about our children's education and what needs to get cut,
right,
we should be able to, intelligently discuss our budget, and we can't do that when you're bringing us bad numbers.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So my way of managing.
Hold on, now let me. As far as finances, like how are schools funded? Like it's mostly from the town.
No, 100% from the town.
100%.
Well, no.
I mean, like like a vast majority is from
correct,
the town.
but the school budget that we're talking about.
Like you pay high taxes for good schools.
Correct. So basically, Sharon's school system takes, let's just say, about 60% of the town's budget. So the way I explain it to everybody is, so take your tax bill, multiply it by 0.6.
Yeah.
That's what you paid for the schools.
Yeah.
So like you pay for Norwood schools. Probably about 60% of your tax bill.
Good.
So if you took,
I wish it was 100%.
Cool. Well, it can't be
I
because
know,
there's
you know
other
what I mean.
expenses. Yeah,
Yes.
like you don't want any road construction.
To me, there's
You know what I mean?
nothing more important than our children's futures. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Agreed,
if any money comes, you know what I mean. If you're gonna waste money, at least waste it in a school budget.
Okay, so agreed there. I'm just saying, like, as far as priorities, obviously the schools are a priority. I mean, that's why I'm focusing my energies there.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that it's hard in a town, right? Because when you start going through a town budget, and I don't know if you've gotten involved locally or not, and you look at town budgets, but when you look at town budgets, like there are things that you don't.
I just talk a lot of shit.
Okay, so there are things that you don't even think about that towns have to spend money on.
Of course, yeah.
And so the reality is that what percentage? So 60% of a town's budget, let's say, is school. Mm-hmm. What percentage of the school budget you think is teacher salaries?
Ooh, half. I don't know.
80. And now, by the way, a normal, healthy business would be 30. So we're already talking about something that's very different than a normal business. Like, that's not ever going to be how a school runs. The schools are going to be 80%.
Course, yeah.
So my point is, so that means that 0.8 times 0.6 of the town's budget are directly teacher salaries.
Yeah.
So of course we should be putting money into those areas.
Right.
But we also have to pay our DPW people. We have to still plow roads, right?
Right.
And every time the roads have to get plowed at night, that costs money.
Right.
We still have to fuel cars. What about our police? Like good police departments make towns really safe. Fire.
Norwood went through it last year that we had to vote on it as far as I don't know, like some sort of thing so the school could go over their budget or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I voted yes because I looked at
it's called an override. Yeah,
override. There you go. I voted yes. Like the conservative in me is like, why are they so far? I don't understand how this even happens.
Right.
But then like the human in me is like, well, if the school, I don't want the school to cut freaking basketball. Right. You know what I mean? Like even though I don't have a kid playing basketball, it's like, well, I don't want kids to lose out on that experience. Right. So it's like, all right, go for the override, but let's. School committee member, let's figure out what's going on here.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make is that in the moment where it's either vote for this or don't, almost all of us are going to say yes.
Yes.
So because of that, no one watches the dollars.
Yeah, of course.
And then by the time that, and by the way, what I'm literally told by people that no one watches, like the administration, this isn't their expertise. Like, it's just, I hate to say that because it sounds...
Oh, well, they're not business people.
They're not business people. So they're great, incredible educators, but they're not business people.
Right.
And so then the committee, who's literally the boss, doesn't micromanage, which I respect too. Like you don't. But there's a difference, and this is the part that's missed when people
It's like
aren't
a disconnect.
when people aren't business, like when people aren't managers, people managers. What they don't understand is don't rake them over the coals, and certainly don't do it publicly. Approve the budget, and then call them the next morning and say, we need to have this data good for next year.
Right.
What can we do together? What do you need from me? Not, hey, I want this done. No, what do you need from me? What can me and this committee do for you so that we can get these numbers such that by halfway through the year, you're really looking at them and we're able to make sense of this so that it's not something where you're bringing it to us, we're unfamiliar with it, it's presented in a way that's confusing. You don't know the answers. We don't want to embarrass you.
Right.
And in the end, who suffers? Our kids.
Yeah.
We don't want to humiliate you. We don't want to overstep our bounds. We're only here for a few years each. It's just easier for everyone to look the other way. And in the end, our kids suffer. So when you're going to cut Spanish from a second grade classroom and you're doing it for money reasons, you can't.
That's a bad long-term move.
Right. You have
You got to explain it.
You have accidentally misappropriated your funds.
Right.
And we need to get in there and figure out where'd the money go. Yeah. Like if we're spending $46 million a year, let's just know where it goes.
Right.
Like, and to me, I actually don't think that that's like a radical idea. And it's kind of nutty to me that people look at you like you're.
That's not the way it's always been done.
Right. Like, so that's what people always say, right?
Right.
And so you know what I tell everybody, and
like,
you know,
this ain't 1963.
Right. So I'm kind of like I wouldn't say in a fight with, but I've been dealing with like another committee in Sharon about small business stuff. So believe it or not, Sharon has a committee called the Economic Development Committee. That's what they're called. What would you think that committee does?
So we had one in West Warwick, and its sole purpose was to get a casino in West Warwick.
Okay.
That's sole purpose.
Okay. So these people's sole purpose is, and in fairness to them, they only started last June, but is not. They don't have a sole purpose. That's the point. So like I went to them, and there's some kick-ass people on this committee. Kick-ass people. So like we had some.
Hold on. Like these are paid positions? Or
no. They're all volunteer, and that's part of the problem, right? But so like but listen, you asked to be appointed, you put up, you should do the work.
Yeah.
So I went to these people or I was asked to go to these people. I was not happy with some stuff that the town did. Like the town of Sharon is a great town, man. And but the reputation of not being business friendly, all right, is the reputation of being not business friendly is earned. It's a well earned reputation, and I think that that's really frustrating. Thanks, man. And to me, I say to these people like, if you want like look, I put my money where my mouth is, right? Like I opened 2 restaurants in this town. I get press.
Kept them on.
I kept them on, and I get press, and I get press for the like I fight for that. You know, I try to make it a point to tell people how great another like Angel's Cafe is in town. I try to big up people that are doing a great job. I talk about the fact that like Wards and Crescent Ridge are like legends. You know.
Yeah.
Those two don't do it.
Right.
Like they don't. I love Angels, but like they're not carrying some flag. So like I put it on my back and I was like, let's go. Like, let's do this. All I'm asking for is some help. I'm just looking at them and saying like, yo, rock with me. And I'm not even saying it like in non-COVID time. I'm just saying it's COVID times. Like I'm looking at Norwood, your town. Look what they did in Norwood Center. That was dope.
I know.
And how cool is it living near Norwood Center?
Yeah, right.
So why can't we do that? You know?
Like, right.
And you know why they say? Because that's just not sharing. We have different limitations. We're different. Yeah, but those are your choices.
Yeah,
that's your words.
Right.
And if everyone's saying that, at some point, I just want to be the one going, yo, hey, anybody in here actually want to change that?
Yeah, you got to look forward.
I could change. Oh, hey, yeah, let's change. Yo, listen, let's change. I'm with you. So then let's go.
Well, the funny thing, so you might not know this about me, but I worked for a school department once for 3 years.
When you were in high school?
Yeah, right after high school.
Okay.
Every summer when I went back.
Yeah. I knew about that job. I don't want to get into the details, but I knew some stuff about that job.
But basically, you know, like it's not like you were.
We don't want the employees like you.
Oh, I was the best employee there was. I was the only one they allowed to touch any equipment. You think they're letting Kyle?
No.
Kyle
worked there too. Jesus, what were they doing, man?
Kyle painted an entire school. He talk about school budget. All right, here we go. Kyle painted our elementary school. Painted the entire thing inside. They shut it down the next year.
Damn, that's crazy.
Stupid. But my point was, they don't waste money on like overtime stuff like that until it's like end of summer and they got to get the stuff back. By the way, Kyle's having a baby.
No way.
He's actually having 2 twins.
Twins? Cool. I'm a twin. I like that. That's cool.
Well, yeah, he's having fraternal too.
Does he know the girl?
He lives with her.
Oh, cool. That's sweet.
I know. You haven't seen Kyle in a while.
No, I haven't. I haven't talked to him. I mean, he's still on some shit.
This is the coolest girl he's ever been with, for sure.
I mean, that's good news, right? Like, that's the way it should be.
No, they're straight.
That's cool.
But it's
When's the baby due? When do the babies due?
Like, just August or some shit.
So like,
she's like 3 months in maybe.
Well, she's 3 months in, and we're only 7 months away.
Yeah, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, I guess that would be not. Yeah, that would be August, September. That would make sense.
But anyway,
cool.
So good luck with that school committee journey, though. Honestly, I sure I would love to keep Spanish.
Yeah.
That I think that would be very important for the future. You know what I mean? Like kids should learn Spanish.
Sure.
Why? There's no reason they shouldn't. So find somewhere else to cut.
Right.
Oh, and here's this other thing: when they want to forgive like college student debt, instead of doing that, just give it to high schools, give it to middle schools, give it to elementary schools.
By the way, so where do you stand on forgiving college debt?
I would take all that money and I'd give it to schools.
Okay, so here's an interesting take. I'm not necessarily against that. Here's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought about. It's actually like it would be a massively disenfranchising move,
of course,
to a lot of Americans if they forgive student debt, because there's a lot of folks that weren't able to get student debt,
right,
thereby didn't get their education, and now you'll have further enhanced the folks who went and not the folks. So you got to fix the system going forward. And there's a lot of memes out there that are like saying, "Oh, I already paid mine off, so therefore you should have to pay yours." That's not what I'm saying.
I don't care if you pay
that's not what I'm saying.
off.
That's not what I'm saying.
It's just
right. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like to further help the folks that got a chance makes the gap between them and the folks that didn't get a chance even bigger.
Right, of course.
Which is dirty, to me.
Like I think I still owe 7 years on my loans, or 6 or 7 years, like $380 a month. You know what I mean? It's not like, it would probably benefit me. But listen, like no one should be rooting for me to get my student loans forgiven. You know what I mean? Like right. It's like there's no reason that those people that couldn't get loans, like you said, like they didn't go to college because they didn't have that opportunity. Why are we gonna? I would just say give it to.
I'm not sure how I feel about.
I think it would be $1 million. I think it'd be more than $1 million per public school in the country. And that's if you forgave student debt, that amount of money would be like $1 million per school, per public school.
Probably. So the problem with that is like.
No, but I'm saying obviously you're not going to spend that,
and you have to sort out exactly how that money, because if it was used as it is, then you just be giving that money to teachers, which obviously as the husband of a teacher, like I'm not saying teachers don't deserve it, but I do think like that doesn't straight increasing the amount of money that we pay teachers is not the solution.
No.
We've got great teachers, so like at the end of the day, these people are willing to. Not saying they're not underpaid, but I am saying that like, but the point of a job salary is to get good people, and we have good people. Yeah. So that's a moot point. We need to fund the schools better. Like when you're telling us that we can't afford foreign language in elementary school, like let's get that fixed. Yeah.
But every school could use more money.
Yeah, no.
Bottom line.
Are you? By the way, I was about to ask you if you're following what's going on with this, like the Celtics season. But real quick, did you see today the 2 greatest rappers of all time hopped on the same track?
Jay-Z
and
Tupac. I don't think
Nipsey Hussle. Oh, Nipsey Hussle's not alive either.
Oh shit.
Nipsey Hussle and Jay-Z are on a track together. It's an okay track too. Like Nipsey's really great on it. Jay-Z kind of like he's like his flow's good on the first half of his verse.
I'm pretty sure I've never heard anything about I've never heard a Nipsey verse. I don't think.
That's crazy to me. He's like
I tell you this every time.
You just don't listen to rap music.
You don't have CDs. I still got a CD player in my car.
Don't have CDs. You don't listen to rap music like that, huh? You used to love it.
I'm out of the game.
So you definitely don't know who Mo3 is. Mo3, he's another. He just got killed in Houston in November, but he's sick too. I love him.
Oh no, I heard. Didn't somebody else just die? Like last week?
Last week?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Maybe
if that happened, I didn't hear it. But yeah, Mo3. I'm on a heavy Mo3 kick, and at Nipsey Hussle, I listen to Nipsey Hussle religiously. You never heard the song "Hustle and Motivate"?
I mean, maybe if you played it, I might hear it.
So it's a cool song because like he took the Jay-Z version of Hard Knock Life, and then sampled that into a little bit sped up, and it's like, and he says hustle the Hove away, and a background story that a lot of people don't know about that track is that when Jay-Z paid for that to clear it, they wanted so much that he made them clear it for any and all hip hop artists to ever use. So Nipsey Hussle took it and played with it as like a tribute to Jay.
Yeah.
And he says, and he's like, hustle and motivate. I got a show today. Pulled up in motorcades, hustled the whole way.
It's crazy. Yeah, so I guess there's no more East Coast West Coast thing. That's squashed.
That's been gone for a minute. Yeah, that's been gone. That's been gone. Basically, it's just 50 Cent against anybody. Like that's just what it is.
50 Cent.
The
last thing I heard was the Machine Gun Kelly Eminem.
Nas is. Oh my God, dude, this guy.
West.
So Corey believes that.
Yeah.
Corey believes that. The problem is that Nas.
He's never listened to It Was Written, so don't even listen to
No,
it.
I've listened to It Was Written. Here's the problem with Nas. Nas is dope sometimes, but first of all, Nas is not a great rhymer. He's not
a great rhymer. He's a great storyteller.
He tells really good stories about nothing.
DJ
about
Premier
nothing,
beats,
and they're made up. Listen. I showed you your first tech on tour with Large Professor. Then I heard you out about your tech on your dresser because I sampled your voice. You was using it wrong. You made it a hot line. I made it a hot song. No, listen, that's Takeover is the worst. You're a crazy person. Anything. He says a lot. He says, yes, he does. He says a lot of things.
And
he says,
everybody in New York,
you ain't live it, you witnessed it from your folks' pad. You scribbled in your notepad. You created your life. Anyway, no, Nas is that's not even a discussion anymore, Wes. Like that was at one point a discussion, like in 1994. But now, like who is Nas? I mean, other than an employee of Jay-Z, Nas actually has a new song on the same compilation album, the Nipsey and Jay thing. I obviously didn't listen to it.
I think I have more Nas on my iPod than anything else. Eminem's close.
I don't even know what that says.
Idea.
I have no idea. So anyway, are you paying attention?
Nas always got a bad. Honestly, kids these days,
mediocre.
He's not mediocre.
Mediocre. Have you been watching Celtics this year?
Pacino,
have you been watching the Celtics this year?
Now I'm going to be on a Nas kick of this. I have been watching on and off.
Same.
It's
they haven't gotten me yet. Like they haven't grabbed me yet. Like I'm not sure their identity.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Danny Ainge fucking nailed those picks.
Without a doubt. But like, do you still like Kemba? Are you still feeling Kemba?
Yeah, I'm still feeling.
Because you're a big Kemba guy.
Yeah. I mean, Kyrie was on pace to be my favorite player of all time, and now I'm like, well, I'll take anybody. I'll take anybody from. But
that guy's a crazy person. But what does Jay-Z actually do now? Run the world?
He just
like
makes
probably
money.
Kind of run the world. So he just started a marijuana company out in California, and that's actually he was rapping about that on the song. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm selling weed in plain sight. Great point.
Another way, another business for wealth inequality.
Absolutely, no, without a doubt, huge problem.
Stupid.
Yep. There's actually a program in Massachusetts where they've put certain number of permits aside as things are opening up for folks who have had charges. So I like that. I like that program. Like that's the way to do it. I mean, that's the way the program should be.
When it first came out, I think it was Massachusetts when we first passed it, they were only giving distribution license to liquor distributors. It's like, guys, like this, it's just anti-business once again.
We're anti-new business.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you just get into established business, and
no doubt,
it's not going to filter down.
All right, we're coming up in an hour. You got anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about.
All right, let me hear it.
You act like you're going to run out of topics here.
I don't know. It's late. I want to get to my kids, bro. No, I was just asking, like, you got anything else?
I got a lot of stuff, but no. Well, you asked me about the Celtics. That's why.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum.
I think overall, probably.
I had a feeling you were gonna have that take. They are like dynamic duo.
They're dynamic, and they do different things well.
Yeah,
that's what I like about them. Is like Jalen's not gonna. They can both take over a game, but like Jason Tatum can go get you one.
Yeah,
that's not Jalen's strength, but he can go get you 10.
Yeah,
and he can defend. Like they both defend.
Have you seen?
They both defend.
Have you seen this level that Steph is on? By the way.
I mean, Steph. That's just who he is.
Like I love that there's no one on his team now too, so no one would be like, oh, Kevin Durant, blah blah. You know what I mean? Like,
no, Steph Curry's on some others.
Like 4 years ago when I said he was better than LeBron, like it was true, and I think it's still true.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and Steph Curry's on some other shit. And the thing is, like, it's unfortunate, like, how poorly that team was rebuilt. Because it's like, what's Wiggins going to do for them? And like, ugh.
Well,
like,
I mean, just not having Klay Thompson for years is like...
That's hurting, big time.
Very.
Yeah, I mean, if that same team had Klay Thompson, they're 5 games better, right?
Yeah,
In which case, they're 15-5.
Yeah.
Like in the 5 seed, they're like a 2 or 3 seed.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What do you mean?
They're
not
everybody,
the Lakers. They're better than everybody that's not the Lakers.
Yeah,
like, if they're 15-5.
I know.
I mean, the Clippers are so overrated. Like, the problem with the Clippers is if you put 2 betas on a team. Like they don't have an alpha. Like they just don't. Like, you know.
I mean, yeah, like Kawhi needs to be in the playoffs for it to
Kawhi can go off, but Kawhi's that
he's
guy.
Such a player. He's a playoff guy,
Right? But the problem with Kawhi is like Kawhi's really good, surrounded by a bunch of other people that can go get you one.
Yeah.
Kawhi, he could be the best of an ensemble. The idea that Kawhi, I mean, listen, he's an incredible defender, but as an offensive player, he's not limited, and I think that's what makes people excited. He can do everything, but he does everything like B+, A-.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Kawhi does. Like the way we talk about Kevin Durant is unguardable. Correct? Kevin Durant's an unguardable player because every aspect of offensive basketball, he's an A+ player at.
Right.
And then he's tall. So like you can't if Kevin Durant wants to shoot an 18-foot jump shot,
you can't stop
it doesn't matter if you showed up or not.
Right.
He might as well be in the driveway.
Right.
Kawhi does nothing A+ on offense.
Yeah.
And listen, he's such a well-rounded player that there's probably very few players in the NBA that can guard him one-on-one. But he doesn't command a double team very often. And when they do, like again, so he's great in a situation where doubling off him is dangerous. On a team where you can double off him, he's not a guy that's going to come and get you 40 on a the night.
Yeah,
he's not.
I don't know what happened to Paul George because maybe
Paul
it's
George
just when he broke his leg.
This year,
is he?
Yeah, this year, and he's going off at times. And the weird thing is, but
before he broke his leg, he was like on pace to be like, oh, this guy's like a top 3 player.
Right, like Paul George changing. I think so. This is a weird comparison because their games are so different. And I'm not saying that they're this guy's game, but you know how like Elton Brand. The problem with Elton Brand was he was always going to be a number 2 at max, but he had like number 1 money and number 1 like stardom.
Was he number 1 pick?
Maybe, but I'm saying I know
like
alpha
option. Yeah.
But yeah, he might have been number 1 pick. If he wasn't, he was number 2.
Yeah, like
but
he was very high.
Right, but so. The problem with Elton Brand then was like you can't really build around him because like he's a guy who's like he's going to get you 20 and 10 every night, which is great, but he can get you a really quiet 20 and 10.
Yeah.
Paul George is like that. Like Paul George's stats are going to look okay. Like he's going to score in the low 20s. He's going to play all right. Like he's a good, really, really good player. And if he was the 3rd best player on your team, you'd be unbelievable.
Right, of course.
But when he's the 2nd or 1st best player on your team, 5 times a year, he's going to show you flashes, but he's not Steph.
Right.
He's not coming every night. He's not, and he's never a threat to go get you 45 in a big game.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not what he is.
Right.
By the way, that's what
Because you do, especially in the West, you need 2 big dogs in the playoffs. And every single night, big dogs.
And so, that's the difference right there. That's why the Celtics...
Even to be, the fucking Trailblazers or something. You know what I mean? Like, you need...
But see, that's why the Celtics maybe could work long time is because... I do think Jalen's better. But Jalen is that Paul George, that he's not a dog, and Jason Tatum is. Yeah. So Tatum is that dude who could go get you 45 in a big game when you need it. Jalen's that dude who's gonna be there every day, and he's good for you can plug him in 22, 8, and 4 or whatever every night. But it's not like you're not watching the screen and you're going, all right, let's go. Just inbound the ball to Jalen. We need a bucket. That's not, but Tatum is that dude.
Yeah.
So it could work really well between the two of them because they seem to have accepted those roles. That's the problem in LA is Paul George has a few things offensively that he's an A+ player at. But that's Kawhi's team because Paul George isn't a dog.
Yeah.
So you're going to the lesser option at times. I mean, what's Kawhi do with the game in line? One thing. That mid-range pull-up, that mid-range turn-around pull-up, that weird.
Well, the weird thing is because every time he shoots it, I swear to God, I don't think the ball ever hits the net. It is like he's a robot sometimes, where it's just right in, even with his free throws. You know
Doesn't
it
look like he's short-arming it?
Yeah,
I mean, it goes in, but it's like he short-armed it. It's weird. So I'm just saying, if you were in a huddle and they said to you, all right, you guys are up 1, ball's being inbounded, 5.5 seconds left or whatever. Your assignment is Kawhi, or your assignment is Tatum. I bet you feel better about it if it's Kawhi. He just doesn't have a lot he can do to you.
No, but he's just so strong. Here's what he does. Here's where he's A+ at. Fucking drawing fouls. Remember,
I don't know if he's A+ at that.
It was when he was in Toronto.
A+.
What about
that.
You see when
Durant is A+.
I forget who they played. He goes to the hole. Literally, the guy jumps, Kawhi just tosses him. The guy separated his shoulder or broke his collarbone or some shit, and they called a foul on that dude. It's like, no. Kawhi just ran through him, and he's just so strong. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's won championships, so it's like he needs to be in the playoffs.
I was
You
a
know what I
big
mean?
fan of Kawhi on the Spurs, and I think ever since then I've just been like, eh. By the way,
I love his personality though. I just love that he don't care really. Like he's not all about the, NBA lifestyle. So like,
I don't know. Is
like
he
does he
not?
have does he have like an IG account? Like you never,
don't know.
you know what I mean?
But I
I
know
know
that's the
I know he
NBA
has his
lifestyle.
logo. But
Yeah, he like
speaking of
created
IG,
a logo.
Tom Brady's IG story.
What was it?
You didn't see the Tom Brady IG? Oh, dude, it was trending like all day, like 2 days ago.
It was a drunken.
No. He had a story where it was like all his teammates. He kept going through whatever. But it's like it had different music for each one, and then at the end it was the 50, like mini men wish death upon me. But he was like, oh, here's the the defense, and he did the peace sign thing. You know what I mean? Like you saw at the end of the game when they did it to Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whoever that Antoine Whitfield maybe.
Yeah. That's
You know what I mean? But he's like, Antoine 22, and he did the P. But it was all pictures, but everything was a different track though. But it was like everybody's like, yo, Tom Brady's curing racism, and it was not funny though.
Curing racism.
Yeah, like he makes me forget about racism because he's like, I guess because he's with all his teammates, and they all love him and whatever. You know what I mean? I can't believe you didn't see it.
I didn't see
It was like like trending like all day.
Probably won't be able to find it, will I? Because the story, it's gone now.
Oh, is that right? Well, I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Damn, I gotta find that.
Yeah, it's hot.
Fuck it. He's never had as much fun in his life.
Oh my God.
Like he loves where he's at. Damn it.
He brought his own fucking boat to the parade.
I know. He
brought his
brought his
own boat.
$2 million boat to the parade.
Except he had Alex Guerrero with him.
And then he got so drunk. I love it.
And then somebody tweeted after.
Yeah,
Well,
about the
avocado tequila.
noting to see here.
Like,
Just a
that's,
little
like, great.
just a little
Like,
avocado.
It's like, it is just so funny that Gronk was on that team too.
And the best part is that there were little news reports that said he threw the trophy to Gronk. No, he threw it to Cameron Brady.
Is that what it was?
But they both were shirtless and like
It's
they're
like-
both like 6'6" and they're like jacked. Like people are like Gronk. No, that's not Gronk. That's,
That parade did. Look
by the way,
like
that
a
was
lot
just
of fun.
that was just your drunk 43-year-old dad, right? Like she's like Vivi, is that his
Yeah,
daughter?
Viv, yeah.
Is like trying to stop him, like no, dad, and he's just like. He's drunk. He's just drunk, and he's like, "I'm gonna throw." What would have happened if that landed in the water?
Oh my! Well, you said Gronk put a dent in the last one. Remember when they threw it out the Red Sox game and someone threw him a baseball and he hit the baseball?
Yeah.
But
like-
then after he got off the boat, you see he's carrying his daughter, and then he saw Antoine Winfield or whatever, and he's like carrying his daughter. He's like, I'm like, this dude is so drunk.
I saw when he. Do you see when he had to be like carried?
This is like
When-
Corey
when
and Avi.
security-
Like,
did you see
this
when-
is like me falling down after whatever.
Did you see when security was holding him? Like
Yeah, oh,
when they were
yeah.
trying to help him, and he's just like he looked like off, man. He
Yeah.
looked off.
I love how like the girls like trying to like say hi to him.
Yeah, and he's just like, He's like, "Ah." Dude, he was lit.
He could not get it up
He
that
was
night.
so,
no way.
no, he was so twisted. So anyway, but yeah, that was cool. All right, is there anything else?
Nah, we can we wrap this up and go watch some YouTube Westwork High.
Yeah, we'll go watch Westworld. The Dub
Circa 2000.
Circuit. Is that what it was? 2000.
Well-
oh, so your sophomore year?
There's like all every year. I mean, it's not like every game. It's probably like 10 or 12, something like that.
All right, I'll go watch some of that.
It is funny though.
Cool. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody.
I was so skinny. That's what you're gonna look like after your diet.
All right. I hope so. All right. That was Heat in the Kitchen, episode 20. We'll catch
Yeah.
up with you guys soon. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Peace.